right, let's see what's going on. I guess we on. So hopefully you guys can hear me. Hey, what's going on, party people? Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. It's definitely a great pleasure to have you here. Happy holidays, everybody. Now, I go by the name of Lespri. I am a spiritual healer, and essentially, as a spiritual healer, what I do pretty much is that I help people to become mentally and emotionally balanced. And the whole idea of helping you to become mentally and emotionally balanced is just so you can attain your highest level of consciousness. It's just so you have the ability to look at the bigger picture. Now, when we're talking about becoming the Christ-like, Krishna, Buddha, those are simply, how can I say this? Those are, you know, an actual depiction of what it's like to attain that level of consciousness. Meaning anybody who attain that level of consciousness, you're gonna act like Jesus, you're gonna talk like Jesus, or you're gonna be the Buddha, you're gonna be that. And the idea, and that's what these, let's just say, persona represents. Even when you look at like a person, let's just say Malcolm X, he's a figure of Christ, meaning, I mean, because hey, listen, man, you didn't know anything about Jesus until motherfucker was 33. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm saying all of that to say, when you look at Malcolm X, right? When you look at his path, what he had to go through, what he overcome, shit, I'm going way too far back. Mike Tyson. Look at the person that he has become now. Do you see what I'm saying? He's emotionally balanced. Shit, like if you know, you know. Motherfucker. And he's not even faking it. It's not like he's trying to act like, he's not trying to raise his voice. Nah, motherfucker's cool, dog. Nigga said, I got it. Yo, big up the mic, man. Big up the mic. Mike Tyson. What's up, baby? You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that to say, as he embodied a level of consciousness, his actions is being manifested throughout his actions. So to become Christ-like, once you attain that level of, I mean, it's to attain that level of consciousness, but most importantly, like I always tell people, the words got to be made flesh, meaning you got to have a direct relationship with the knowledge that you have. But anyway, going back to why is it important, for you to become mentally and emotionally balanced, it's because it allows you to see the bigger picture. We all know, let's just say, you do understand how your emotions can have a great impact on your intellect, and vice versa too. Your intellect would have a great, but whichever side you on, let's just say if you're that mental guy or if you're this emotional, whatever the fuck, you are seeing things from being one-sided. So therefore you don't have the biggest perspective. And to become Christ-like is to become the bright ones, the enlightened ones. You understand what I'm saying? So the idea of mind, body, I mean, that is what the idea of mind, body, and soul is. It's pretty much having yourself becoming in alignment with yourself. So, just to tell you, ultimately, that's what the goal is. But, we have to break shit down, so therefore I help you to become mentally and emotionally balanced. So now if we're going to the Mike Tyson example, right? As he became emotionally balanced, he can express himself effectively without having to whoop somebody's ass. You know what I'm saying? Nigga can smile now and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? But big up to that because that's what true transformation is all about. That's what you need. You have to become. He's showing you what it's like to talk like a little boy, and he's also showing you what it's like to talk like a man. Oh, I love this. Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, Mike, I see you, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you. I'm telling you what I see. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker is a bad motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Now he's being the true champion outside of the ring. Hmm. You a bad motherfucker. But anyway, I'm saying all of that to say becoming emotionally balanced has nothing to do, let's just say, pretending to act a certain way or not raising your voice. You know, those tactics or those behaviors are mainly to deceive other people. That's not what being true emotionally balanced is. You know, first of all, what I'm referring to is you understanding what emotions are. But most importantly, it's you having the ability to know how to deal with your emotions effectively. Meaning you are addressing, you understand your emotional pattern, and then at that point, if there's any blockages that has to be removed, then it's being done effectively. This is you acknowledging your emotions, not suppressing them or not being triggered by them. Those are two different things. So when I'm talking about becoming emotionally balanced, for the most part, that's what I'm referring to. Now, on the flip side of that, or in addition to that, it's not even, well, in addition to that, I also help you to become mentally balanced. Now, it's pretty much the same, it's the same baseline understanding here. I mean, you have to understand how your mind works. I mean, for you to become mentally balanced, because, you know what I'm saying? And that pretty much entails you mastering your own mind. But for you to do that, you would have to understand how it works. You have to understand, let's just say, how were you trained to think, and then you got to get to a point now where you're training yourself to think your way. And that's what our ancestors did pretty much, and that's it through mythology. Because now you are creating, you're setting yourself free. You create your own narrative. Because if you don't do it, it'll be there's a narrative will be given to you. And that's when you're gonna be like the Jesus boys. You only want one book, and that one book says it all. Wow. What should I say? Wow, that's amazing. You know, but also when you get to becoming mentally balanced, it's like you really got to delve into I don't want to say the adventure of the journey of the mind, whatever the fuck, but that journey pretty much entails you understanding the society that you're living in, the political, let's just say, views and how they affect your life. You see what I'm saying? Because we most of us are living by a narrative, believe it or not. So that's the narrative. I mean, whether you choose it consciously or unconsciously, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? And that's the main difference between being alive and being a zombie or being average. And to be average, it's not natural. Like it's no one should be average of nothing. You only average because else is doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Even in this, let's just say, spiritual community, if you want to put it that way, you'll see every single one of us have their own personalities, or we speak a certain way, or we relay our messages a certain way. So that alone, it goes to show you, you know, like like how can you be average when you become yourself. It's gonna be impossible. Now, what you're gonna be now, you're gonna be. You could either become a better version of yourself, or you're just gonna be yourself. So again, but going back to being mentally balanced, that's what that pretty much entails. That's why I always tell people, your humanity is your spirituality. Because all you're doing in this reality, or if you claiming or as you become spiritual, is that you are acknowledging, energy in around you, even in yourself. That's why now you could take the time to meditate. You're talking about healthy habits, you know what I'm saying? All of that because you have acknowledged, or another way of saying that, you became a little more conscious of who you are. Because now your consciousness it doesn't stop at dick and pussy. And again, I guess in so many words, like, because I'll be talking about spirituality. Well, not really, but yeah, I mean, shit. Like, I'll be talking about spirituality shortly. Why not? Let's just get into it. You know what I'm saying? But before I do so, essentially, that's pretty much what I do as a spiritual healer. I help you to become mentally and emotionally balanced. And I just told you what that pretty much entails. And ultimately, the goal now is for you to attain your highest level of consciousness, right? So, my brothers, you already know. Get a seat, get your plate, get your shit, smoke your shit, drink your shit. Happy holidays, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man. Blessed. Blessed. That's all we're going to say. Okay. Now, spirituality, it's your life. Now, what we're only saying here is just different level of consciousness. Unfortunately, most of us, we were trained to look at ourselves just from to identify yourself only with the physical part of you. And if that's what you identify yourself with, just like I always say, it's not a coincidence that people are live. I mean, are pretty much. You have the competition. Are pretty much. How do you say that shit? You know what I'm saying? Or trying to keep up with the Joneses. A competitive world. What do you have? What do you possess? What are your achievements? How big is your bank account? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it makes sense because you only identify yourself. If you identify yourself with only the physical part of you, well, that's the world that you're going to be living in automatically. And of course, in that world, you have to worship greed. You got to go get it. Let's get the bag. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not saying this to say there's anything against that. I'm just showing you, the pattern that it comes with, the state of mind, like, the world, how, I mean, I'm pretty much telling you how, telling you about the world that's in front of you. And that's the world that's been created for you to be like, this is what your reality have become. But that is due to you identify yourself only with your physical part. And then the rest is just it's like the domino effect. You know what I'm saying? And how can you not have a fucking ego? It would be impossible. That kind of world and understanding or level of consciousness comes with your fucking ego. Oh, it is a package. You know what I'm saying? Then you gotta show how you living. Come on now. You know better than me. You know what I'm saying? Then it's all about what kind of car you're driving, maybe the school that you went to, whatever the fuck. Again, I'm not saying there's anything against it, But like I always tell my people, you got to understand the reality that you're living in. That's how you be part of it, not being of it. And by you becoming in alignment with your true self too, it allows you pretty much purify your environment. Like I'll give you a perfect example. I identify myself as a spiritual healer, but in my day, let's just say in my job, I work as an accountant. But that accountant shit does not define me at all because I got to see treasure in myself, bigger and greater things in myself. So that allows me to purify, my vision or my environment. Yeah, I mean, you want to call it humble, call it whatever the fuck you like. I mean, I know what I know, and there's nothing greater than this. I don't give a fuck if you're a president. I don't give a fuck whatever the fuck it is. There's nothing greater than your own fucking nature. So that's why for me, like I always tell people, this is a privilege for me to even talk about this shit. Because I feel like that's the ultimate shit to talk about. And of course, now since we're going back to spirituality, a lot of people, of course, here's one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to spirituality, because now you don't see it as being part of you. Because that's not the, I mean, that's not the way you were trained to identify or to look at yourself. Another way of saying this, you know, out of ignorance, you become ignorant. And because you are, and that's mainly the main reason why, when we're talking about spirituality, people are always like, I mean, it's over there. Like it's not your own fucking nature. The very fact that a lot of people now are talking about the law of manifestation. You could do this, you could do that, you create all of this shit, and we're not the only ones saying it. Everybody who have experienced it, and you already know, like that's part of you. Now, the only issue that I have with that is that not enough people are asking themselves, well, if I have the ability to manifest, what the fuck does that say about me? Who the fuck am I? See, those are the questions that you should be asking yourself. And trust me, once you do, if you do, I mean, it would only lead you one way to the kingdom of God. You know what I'm saying? Then you realize, what I'm saying, fuck magic. You become magical. I mean, listen, man, like I go for luxury. And like I always tell people, I'm a quality guy. I'm a classic man. Nigga, shout out this nigga, man. What was that nigga name, man? He's an African brother too. You know what I mean? Mm, I'm a classic man. To the pure, all is pure. It's not how much you see, but it's how are you looking at it. You feel me? How you looking at it, baby? It's always been about quality, never quantity. And what that entails when I'm referring to quality, we're talking about the inherent value in anything, especially if you're looking at yourself. That's why your treasure, those true values, those divine values, once you tap into it, it's gonna be ecstasy, it's gonna be integrity, it's gonna be love, it's gonna be all of that shit. Your true nature. So because you don't look at yourself from that perspective, then spirituality is like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like I might even be wasting my time right now. According to you. You know what I'm saying? Hey, nigga, you bullshitting. You got your pants all the way down. You don't even know it. So you walking around with no pants on, man. Put some pants on, motherfucker. Come on, man, get the fuck out of here. But anyway, again, the people are perishing due to ignorance. So for me, I always like to take a minute to talk about spirituality, although, this is going to be part two to what is it, consciousness and creative thinking. They kind of go hand in hand. But anyway, I had a recording where I talked about that yesterday, and this is going to be part two of it. So I strongly recommend that you watch part one, you know, because, besides I was talking a whole bunch of shit too that you might want to listen to. Who knows? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Hey, you never know until you try it. You feel me? So I would strongly advise that you watch that one first. But anyway, going back to spirituality real quick, I always like to take a minute to talk about it because that is everything. And if you can understand that alone, oh listen, baby, you're doing something good. And fucking congratulations. You're doing something great. You hear me? But most importantly, as a spiritual healer, I mean, pretty much everything I talk about derives from it. When I talk about the spirit, when I'm referring to your emotions, you being mentally balanced, it all derives and it all stems from spirituality. So it's only right that, I like to spend a little bit of time because it pretty much embodies everything. So when we're talking about spirituality, it's you and I. It's you scratching your ass. It's you being a killer, whatever the fuck it is, good or bad. Then when you start delving into, you know, um, internally, then you get to understand. That's why you'll see, in a lot of the movies, they will show you what a criminal is and how they think. It's always something that happened, I mean, when they were young, and then that kind of shaped their lives. Isn't that what happened to all of us? And now, as you're becoming spiritual, you do something called doing your shadow work. And that pretty much entails now you addressing those early emotions. Why did you act this way? Why did you act that way? All my life I was afraid of dogs. This is what happens. Then you become into Batman. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Now you got yourself a house full of dogs. I mean, you don't have to go that far, but the point I'm trying to make here is just that's when we're doing your shadow work, that's technically what you're doing. And it sets you free now because now you're no longer operating from a one-sided or from that pain or a one-sided perspective that stems from those early pain that were never resolved or acknowledged. So spirituality is just your life, man. And as you're doing so, then now you start to discover, you know, those divine qualities in you. And when you start to identify with those, that's when now you become eternal. Now you identify yourself with that part of you, then matter now doesn't matter. Not because you have suppressed it, but because you got to see a greater side of you. And that's how knowing who you are set you free. So again, spirituality is your fucking life. Then now, a big part of spirituality, we have what is called the occult, right? So those are pretty much the studies. I call them the manuals because this is an open book. But the thing is, you just gotta have the sight though. You know what I'm saying? You gotta become that blind man reading the scripture. Oh, I gotta let that marinate for you, man. Listen, man, you gotta start touching it this way because now you're moving internally, and that's what pretty much moving by faith is. Listen, man, that's all I know. That's why I come and go. You know what I'm saying? They trying to study, they can't see nothing. You hear me? Get better by the second. This when they thought they saw this, and like, what is that? Yeah, consciousness never stays the same, motherfucker. Everything vibrates. Now, spirituality is simply your life, you know? And obviously, it's having a deeper acknowledgement or consciousness of this reality. And that's what the occult does. It helps you, let's just say, some of the basic shit you learn from the occult. You have a conscious mind, you have a subconscious mind. Or they even talk about you have chakras. Your third eye. Ooh. These are all parts of yourself. When you open up, if you were to cut yourself up, cut yourself open right now, you're not gonna see no chakras. That's why we use certain organ as part of your body to identify those chakras because we're talking about the energy that's being transmuted from those different part of yourself. So again, you're dealing with a non-physical aspect of yourself, and that's what the occult allows you or help you to acknowledge. That's how you become whole. Now you're becoming the holy man. Now you already know the physical aspect of yourself. Now you have also embodied the non-physical aspect of you, and that's how you become the yin and the yang. My eye, call it whatever the fuck you like. Balance, justice. So again, spirituality is your regular life. Now, what we're doing here is having a deeper understanding of that ordinary life. Then you start to realize it's not as ordinary as you think it is. And that's why the Indians, they call this world Maya, meaning a world of illusion. And what that means is that just like any freaking illusion, you see what it is, but it's not what it looks like. That's why a lot of occultists, or they like to identify it with being an alchemist, or let's just say as magic. If you see, that's one of my favorite movies too. Christopher Nolan. What the fuck? The Prestige. It was he shows you what the illusion is. You see it, you see it happen, but it's not what you think it is. Not that you don't see it, you do see it, but it's not what you think it is. That's from the tricks, them being behind the scene, the shit that they working on, whatever the fuck. Well, this is the world that you're living in. To get to know somebody, to know someone, it's never to know what they look like. I mean, okay, but when you really know somebody, this motherfucker, I ain't fucking with this nigga. It's to know, it's to find that person, their pattern or train of thoughts, or their behavior, their character. It's to find all of that out, and then you'll be like, oh, I know who that person is. See, we're already doing that in our ordinary conversation. We often reveal our true identity. The thing is, we're just not conscious of what's taking place. Because to know your true nature is to know that you are a living mind, i.e., spirit, energy. When you're no longer in this vessel, that energy doesn't go away. And those of us who have mediumship, skills, like I know for me personally, I have the ability to talk to people on that other side. So I'm saying that to say this is the reality. I mean, now it turns into superficial, but all everything about us is fucking superficial. You are the magic. Everything about you is superficial or paranormal, however the fuck. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because now that you have identified yourself with what you're calling normal, then these things are paranormal. Come on, man. And that is simply because you don't identify with that other side of you. Regardless of what religion that you're a part of, you know the spirit. You may call it Jesus, the Holy Spirit. I mean, you acknowledge something beyond the physical, if you want to put it this way. To be fair, that way, you know what I'm saying? I'm keeping myself out of trouble here. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we just gonna keep it little. So let's get back to you being a living mind, because that's gonna be, pretty much the foundation to the core of the conversation that we'll be talking about tonight. So when we talk about, let's just say, you being a living mind, when you analyze yourself or look at what we say, you want to change your life, change your thinking, or think differently. A strong mind, a strong body. You know what I'm saying? You to become a champ, you gotta adopt a champion mentality. To think critically, you gotta become critical. You see, this is where you gotta have you gotta have a direct experience with the knowledge, and you're doing it one way or another. It's either you're growing, or or you're not. So now, us being, let's just say, this thinking thing, which is more than just our physical body. I mean, we're not saying more in the sense that this does not exist or this is not important. We're saying more in a sense of in addition to, because the self mastery entails you bringing both part of you together. Literally, you putting yourself together. Put yourself together, baby. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what you're doing. And as for you to become whole now, you have to pretty much, that's why you don't suppress any part of you. You embrace, you embody all of it. You don't suppress your desire. You discern them. I mean, some desires are not, it could be fucked up, but you don't suppress desire altogether because you could have a bad one. No, you have a bad one. You got to learn how to transmute that. Get a better one. You see what I'm saying? It's like talking. We are. I don't know who said that though. I don't know if it was Carl Jung, but somebody says we are creatures of habits, right? Because we always doing something, And the great Dr. Lila Africa, one of the best things this motherfucker taught me was even when you're being stupid, you practice that every day. So you are an active being. Either way, you being that living thing, it's taking place. Now, all I'm trying to get you to do at this point is to hold a mirror of knowledge so you can see yourself. I can only show you the door. Then now you are to take the necessary actions. And the message has always been the same. I just woke up to it and I'm doing the same thing the fucking ancestors did, letting you know, hey, know who you are. You see what I'm saying? And that's how I'm doing that work now. And the truth, you have to wake up to it. Everything is already around you. All you're doing by increasing your consciousness now, you're becoming more conscious of it. And that's what you do when you become spiritual. It's the same reality as another motherfucker, but now you meditating. You know what I'm saying? And now you're doing that. Why? Because you understand there's another part of yourself. You become a little more aware or of different aspect of you. Sharing, and we're all in the same space and time, if you like to put it that way. But the way you transcend that reality, again, it's not by refuting it, but it's by identifying with your divine qualities. That's how you beat death. And that's how you overcome karma too. For my karmic people. You ain't ready for that. Oh, you're not ready for that yet. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Yeah. That karma ain't going nowhere, baby. Until then, karma ain't going nowhere. I don't care who you pray to. It ain't going no fucking where. But anyway, going back now to consciousness, and creative thinking. Because now you being a living mind, a living thinking, I like to say thing for lack of better terms, but I say it to emphasize, that living, that being in you, right? Because all you're doing when we choose to meditate, or let's just say you try to open up your third eye, you're just becoming a better receptive or conductor for that wisdom to come through you, for that energy, for more consciousness to take place. That's why it's important for you to open up your third eye. Oh, that's what you're doing when you do so. And that's why it's important as you're going through your spiritual journey, you're going to have to open up your third eye. And of course, doing your shadow work and your chakra work. But all of that, it's all part of that thinking part. I want you to keep that in mind. And for me, that could be seen as a creative thinking too. But before we go there, right? Uh, Albert Einstein talked about imagination, being greater than knowledge. This motherfucker, he was on to something there. I mean, I think that's probably the greatest shit he ever said. Because I don't think nobody you cannot. I mean, it cannot be said any other way. And the reason why he said that, and I know he understood what the fuck he said, because I woke up to it too. And that's why you meditate. Furthermore, he tells you the same mind that created, you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created that same problem. Well, where the fuck do you go to? What the fuck do you do? And that's what meditation helps you with. See, a lot of people meditate. You gotta understand what you're doing. How would you be able to get the most out of it if you start to meditate and you don't know what meditation is? It's crazy. That's wilding. Y'all wilding out here. So now let's get back to imagination. Oh my God. Because what imagination is doing in so many ways, imaginate that's why it's a creative thing as well. Because what you're doing is you are expending your consciousness beyond what it's, when you're imagining, you are creating, you're expending your consciousness. In the hope, now when you're meditating, you're expending your consciousness in the hope that you attain a higher consciousness, then you get the aha moment. Or let's just say you didn't know if you had to go right or left. Now you go and meditate, then gotta go right. And symbolically, this is you now solving that issue with not with the same mind that created, the same mind that was, I didn't know where to go. Now you have developed or you tapped into a higher frequency in yourself. And that's what he meant when he was saying you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem. This motherfucker was talking some shit. And and I can also see, because certain stuff that you talk about, it comes with a state of mind. So for him to say that shit, like he had to embody, there's a level of consciousness he had to attain and become at the same time. The guy, was it Ford? I think he talked about, like he felt like people ask him, how many times did he feel like, I think the guy who created the light bulb, whatever his name is. You know it? Come on, you got it. You good. You know it. Excellent. Now make sure you understand not just the name, but you understand the statement that he made. And because that statement was a fully loaded statement. When he says he didn't learn, he learned how not to do it. Like 300 and certain whatever the fuck. I can't recall the way he said it, but he basically what he was saying, he didn't waste his time. He learned different ways on how that didn't work. And again, how do you fail? Like you can only fail if you're doing something. Anybody who never felt at anything, you haven't been doing shit. You see what I'm saying? So he was talking all that shit too. In that statement, he was talking about all that shit. But now, how do you expect him? It's like, how do you neglect the game that you? I mean, it's that's where gratitude. A lot of people don't get it. It's a state of mind. You have to become that, and that state of mind becomes with you acknowledging more than what things appear to be. That's where you will see a motherfucker tell you, you know what? I didn't have any money, man, but I woke up alive. Meaning now Hey, another day could be another fucking opportunity. Who the fuck knows? You don't even know. You know what I'm saying? But if you choose, that's why they also say too, like, someone who says I can't do something and somebody else that says I can do it, they're both right. So your life is it pretty much goes as far as you go. Your definition, understanding, or experiences of life goes as far as you go consciously. Again, like that living aspect or thinking of us cannot be neglected. In fact, it is everything. That's why some people would even go as far as saying that they are God, which I understand. Not the ultimate God, but they are God because they understand. Even okay, if I'm a Christian, Muhammad means nothing to me. Or if I'm into Krishna, Jesus means nothing to me. The biggest thing you should get out of that is that therefore you're the one who validated Jesus, just like I'm the one who validated Krishna, and that's why your Jesus means nothing to me, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. So regardless on how you may want to reject yourself, you still have something to do with it, man. It's either you take accountability or you don't. Consciously or unconsciously, you are creating your life. You are the creator of your life. And your God, you're gonna, is the creator of your life too. Choose your God wisely. Like I always tell people, if today I become a 7 day Adventist, well, certain holidays probably would not have meanings to me. Or Saturday would have a whole different meaning to me too, which will definitely be different from you. So as I'm following that God, those words, I am accepting the reality, meaning because, hey, listen, you don't have to take accountability, but you accepted that shit. And I don't mean to say shit in a sense like it's bullshit. You know, niggas talk. You know what I'm saying? We're slanging, baby. And I'm gonna be talking about that too because it's all part of creative thinking. See, language plays a big part on how creative you are. That's why you'll see our poets, they always switch up the language. And all of that is creativity as well. That comes with a higher level of consciousness because now you're able to, okay, when we talk about creating, w- what we're doing is turning the old into new. You know what I'm saying? Like we shit that already exists. Creation doesn't mean new, man. Like even when you look at the Bible, creation tell God was walking around, the earth was already there, dog. If I'm lying, I'm flying, but that's what your Bible said. He walked over the water, however the fuck he was floating, however the fuck God was doing what he was doing. Who knows? But the shit was already there. Then from there, that's how he created even men out of what was already existing. So I guess, well, I guess, yeah. I mean, it's only right that we talk about creation for a little bit. Then now we're going to plug it in into creative thinking, right? But I want you to keep that thinking aspect as your consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Creative thinking, pretty much, that's what, all spiritualists do. That's what we do. We think creatively. What do you what what do you think you're doing when you're meditating? So I'm saying that to say, now that you understand what creation is to create, is to make something new out of the old. And the reason why there's a purpose why I say it that way too, because creation is not to make something new out of nothing. Even the artists that are creating musically or whatever the fuck that they're doing, that's why they are recreating the art. The art that you're seeing physically, it was already created in their conception, in their mind, in their thinking, and they put it together. Even in movies, you have a group of writers, you have a director, you have all of that shit. So that shit, that what they're doing now is recreating that art that they have already conceptualized. Oh yeah. So language, I was talking about language. A lot of people don't do, just like I always tell people. I know a lot of smart people like to say, I don't speak American. The language is called English. I get it. But you're not speaking the same English. Well, I mean, I guess you could say you have your American English, you have your Canadian English. But if you take out the common thing, which is English, what you got left is American, and then you have Canadian. It comes with a whole set of accents. It comes with a whole set of, how they say certain things, what they mean by this, what they say when they say it. You know what I'm saying? And it comes, it's a whole different perception. So when people are, let's just say, you speak proper, what you're saying is you speak in accordance to grammar. And because you do that, there's a set of thinking that it comes with. Then you automatically have a linear way of looking at life. There's a point A, B, C, and everything. But like a poet, has, it's creative thinking. That's why they produce a creative language. That's why we use metaphor. Now, another word for metaphor is what as niggas do all the time. It's called slang. You know what I'm saying? And just so you know, to speak effectively, it's not to speak proper at all. It's to speak in metaphor. Because what you're truly doing is you're transferring that understanding. Then you're speaking effectively. You know what I'm saying? For my let's just say academic niggas. You know what I'm saying? I tell niggas, yo, talk your slang, nigga. And every language is a representation of your perspective. And if you notice, no matter what language that's been given to a nigga, we always change it to the way we see life. That's why when you see, if you listening to a fucking African motherfucker speaking, there's a certain way. And then if you were to listen to, let's just say, us speaking Creole, I mean, you can relate. Although you don't know, but the sound, the phonetic, you know what I'm saying, even the fucking accent, because language is truly a representation of your mind. Because us niggas, we see things a certain way, we speak in slangs, and regardless of what language that was given to us, you want to call it English? Well, the Jamaican changed that shit into Black English. What you calling the fucking London English? Over here with English niggas turn that shit into fucking Ebonics. With Haitian niggas, they give us French. We turn that shit into Creole, nigga. Not because we don't know how to speak French, or not because you can't speak English proper. That's not it at all. In fact, you'll see a lot of what you call, your Obama niggas. Your savior. You know what I'm saying? He speaks so proper. You know what I'm saying? But you know how niggas do. You know what I'm saying? Because in the way we see things, there's polarity in our state of mind. That's why Michael Jackson can tell you who's bad, but he's not referring, let's just say, because if you're trying to be linear, you're thinking from A to B, then, oh, what is that? Why would he say bad when he means good? You know that? That's a one track, one sided mind. So, language, when it comes to creative thinking, could be a fucking barrier. And you'll see anybody who uses the language of, let's just say, poetry. I mean, it's going to be creative. That's why we understand the true power of words too. It's not in the meaning of what the words mean, but the power of words is how things are being said. And every speaker knows it. Every comedian knows it. Every speaker knows it. Well, as you should too. So I'm saying all of that to say, because I want you, because I'm trying to get you to see, you know, how consciousness and creative thinking kind of goes hand in hand. And you want to have that creative thinking mind. That's how you transcending this reality. To transmute anything, it entails changing. Well, that has to do for you to become, again, like I always say, for you to think critically, you got to be critical. But most importantly, you also have to embody and understand, again, if we're going back to you becoming mentally balanced, you have to be aware of all of these things. When we speak slangs, oh, excuse me, you're pretty much, it's metaphor. It comes with a state of mind. You know what I'm saying? That's that nigga talk. Yo, I'll be on my shit all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, listen, man. Yo, we bring to the pure all is pure. How are you looking at it? To the pure, all is pure. But now going back to the whole critical or consciousness, being creatively thinking, it's just a must. It's part of your growth, and understanding languages. But most importantly, a limited mind. You're not gonna have a creative mind by, that's why it is you need to expand your consciousness. Well, guess what? That's part of brainstorming. That's part of, what I'm saying. You being more receptive. So that's why the idea of being average, or even to be, I mean, it's not even your nature. We're living in a society where, what I'm saying, it's a gang mentality, man. You know what I'm saying? It's either you this or you that. You know what I'm saying? And if you this, you got to roll with that, or you got to roll with this. And if you that, you got to roll with that. Meanwhile, you having a one-sided perspective, and you don't even get to see the bigger perspective. And here's and I always use this example. When you telling me you are a Democrat, what are you doing with those? I mean, unless if you're saying, like there's some bullshit, like there's nothing good in having some Republican views or perspective. Well, if there's some good in it, why should you reject it? Make it make sense. Because I'm looking for the best idea. You know what I'm saying? I know what you're doing. If you're gonna be one-sided, well, you're not gonna see the bigger picture. And that's why when you adopt a polarity perspective, you're becoming more cosmic, you're becoming more open, more receptive. And that's the type of wisdom that sets you free. In other words, you're also becoming more creative too. Because the little good that values that exist, let's just say in those Republican views, well, will definitely add to what you already know have. Then it'll give you more. Don't you want more? You know what I'm saying? I mean, make it make sense. I remember, man. Oh man, this girl. Oh, she cheated on me, bro. Like it was around. We were going through my. I guess what was it? Was it my senior year in college? And she was in pre-law, right? Activist. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she was putting out. She was working me out. Why she's in this political perspective, and what it means, and how pathetic I was, because I was on my spiritual path at that point. You know what I'm saying? And her not understanding. Listen, your perspective is just one-sided. I embody it all. You're just embodying on one side. And unfortunately, since that's the side she identify herself with, and you know what I'm saying, you can't see gold when you're in front of it. Again, to the pure, all is pure. And I also learned too, I'm not gonna cast my pearls before swine. That ain't gonna happen. I'm not playing myself, man. I know what I got. Said, how the fuck would I, like, I don't know, man. Like, how do I look down on myself when I know my values? Can't do that. I refuse to do it. It's not gonna happen. So now all I'm doing here, I'm trying to get you to make the connection in creative thinking and consciousness and how they kind of go hand in hand. Because there are so many different things too when it comes to thinking. I mean, to become, wow, to become creative. I'll give you a perfect example too. You know how some people they could solve a problem or they could see results through problems? That's creativity. In fact, that's what was it Ford who said that? I don't even the light bulb motherfucker, right? That's what he was talking about. Now he didn't use, let's just say, those spiritual terms, or not even he didn't even mention anything about creative thinking, but by successfully understanding, let's just say a million ways that do not work, he's doing something good. So now he has a better understanding of the problem at hand. But at the same time, he cannot neglect those what you call failures. They added more to him. It was bringing him closer. That's what the motherfucker said. No, man, I did not fail, man. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's creative thinking right there. That's creatively, again, that comes with a creative mind, because that's why you got to become creative too, because that's what you're doing. You being conscious, you being active. I mean, you are creating as the Father's also creating as well. Creative thinking is the spiritual, is your spiritual essence. You see what I'm saying? And here's something else too. In creative thinking, there's a lot of metaphors. You use metaphors. Do you see what I'm saying? That's when you're using one, let's just say, image to make it something else. It's pretty much, oh shit. It's pretty much, oh man, that was for me. Hold on. I'm just tapping into something here. Oh, oh. I have to digest that for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Because mm, now I gotta find a way to say it. Um, Man, spirit's working me out, man. They're working me out. So okay, let's take it slowly. Let's take it slowly. Let's go back to metaphor, right? So when we're talking about metaphor, basically what you're doing is you're using one image to portray something else. That's why, to me, speaking effectively is to speak in metaphors. That's speaking proper to me. You know what I'm saying? Because you allow me to grasp the picture. And remember, imagination, it's greater than knowledge. And the reason being is it expand your knowledge. That's why it's greater than knowledge. And knowledge is pretty much infinite. And your knowledge will varies also with your level of consciousness. So imagination allows you, and that's part of that creative thinking, allows you to expand your consciousness. So now you become more knowledgeable. So, but metaphor in itself, I mean, and that's what I think Spirit was showing me too. Like metaphor, and it's, the having that ability, which is that creative aspect of it, to use a metaphor to portray something else. It's also like it's taking you to a journey too. It's going to distance, pretty much. Because only then, and also we also in the occult, what we call shaman or spiritualist, we call them alchemist because they have the ability to transmute energy. Key word transmuting. It means, like I always tell people, you don't want to be a positive person. You want to be you want to adapt a positive outlook on shit. It's not to deny when something bad happened, like this shit is not bad. No, 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 no. That's not being positive at all. That's being fucking delusional. But having a positive outlook, although it's bad, you're able to see the bigger picture behind it. That's when you'll see certain guys that tells you, you know what, Mike Tyson again told you the biggest, his precious, the biggest, his precious moment was when he was in jail, and I know he means that too. Why? Because that's when he got to reflect. That's where his transformation was taking place. So you may say to you, like, I know for me, I mean, I definitely don't want to go to jail either. But having that positive outlook on things, if that's where it leads, that's where it leads. I'm always going to transmute that. And besides, sometimes being a freedom fighter, in the sense of, on my spiritual shit, I'm not on no other wars. Disclaimer, I'm gonna make that shit clear. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. There's no other wars going on here but a spiritual war for me. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't never gonna see me fuck this government. This government's good. It's all bullshit. And if you stuck there, I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is. It is all it is. I mean, I can only hope that you could, go a little bit further. Because ultimately, besides the government, there's you. What are you gonna do about you? You know what I'm saying? What are you gonna do about you? That's where I come in, and that's why for me, you know what I'm saying. This job, it's a privilege, and I treat it as such, and that's why the reward for me is already in me doing this shit right here, right now. Oh, what you see, a nigga, like even in person, it's gonna be even better. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when, you know what I'm saying, you living. Hey, this is the life that I'm about that life. I'm about that life, nigga. you know. But again, I wanted to touch on. Damn, it's already an hour. I wanted to touch on. I'm just gonna close it out real quick because we talked about so many different things on creatively as well. To get you to get in that frame of creative thinking, because it goes hand in hand with your consciousness. Because what you're doing with your consciousness is that you are expending or you becoming more creative, more receptive. And keep in mind, to think critically, you got to become critical. We're gonna live it here, baby. I shan't. Bra, Malay.